We didn't have water since the 80s or 90s. Since then, I mean, we've been bringing water to las colonias or to las pampas. No, aquí le estoy deteniendo. ¿Ya está amarrado? Okay, at first we started on a truck, one tank. Then we got a small trailer and we put tanks. That's when we haul them once or twice a week. It takes around 1 to 2 hours per load and probably 1/4 of a tank. So it's expensive to bring water.
Estoy muy a gusto viviendo allá porque es muy tranquilo. El único problema, pues el desafío es estar acarreando agua para nosotros, para vivir normalmente, ¿verdad? Porque tenemos que estar cuidando el agua para bañarnos, para lavar, economizando lo más que podamos para evitar tanto viaje, ¿verdad?
Presidio County is located in the Big Bend region of Texas, far west Texas. It's in the Chihuahuan Desert, and it's one of the poorest counties in Texas, with a median income of something like $25,000 a year and a population of under 7,000. We're very, very underserved, remote. We're also majority Hispanic.
All across the West, we're seeing more arid climate, we're seeing less rainfall, drought is the norm, and particularly in West Texas and here in Presidio County, there's just a lack of rainfall.
Tengo 64 años viviendo yo aquí en el río, entonces yo conozco el río porque desde niño nos bañábamos aquí en el río y veíamos la cantidad de agua que pasaba a diario y era bastante agua. Inclusive hay días que el río no trae agua. Yo siento que antes llovía más también. Porque antes en invierno, por ejemplo, a mí me tocó en mi infancia inviernos de 10, 11 días lloviendo todos los días. Mucha agua. Y ya los últimos años yo no veo eso ya no.
There are a lot of communities here who don't have access to a reliable clean drinking water source, either because they ended up living in an area where they were promised this and then it was never provided, or because just from the lack of resources the county has, they have been unable to maintain their water supply or their water system.
Me llamo Miguel Borunda, vengo del municipio de Satego, Chihuahua. Estoy viviendo el Marfa desde el 1985. Yo me hice amigo de un señor que producía miel y él me vendió este terreno porque yo estaba batallando mucho para tener mis animalitos. Estaba batallando mucho por terreno y él me lo facilitó. Por lo pronto, pues, el mismo amigo que me lo vendió me pasó agua, me la traje por pipa, pero luego ya vendió y me quedé otra vez sin agua. Pues los planes es poner una vivienda ahí para mi hijo en especial, ¿verdad?
We are on a, as you call it, a boil water notice, and so we've been on that for a year. A lot of us here, as you see, we're older people, we're retirees. We've got retired teachers, retired veterans. We've got people who grew up here, a whole variety of different kinds of people here. We're concerned about when we're without water for a day or two, sanitation, you know, how do you wash your dishes, what do you drink for those days that you're without water. You know, you can get by for a few hours, but when you live with more than one person and you've got a family or whatever, then it gets to be pretty difficult. We all wonder from day to day, will we have water tomorrow? We're just in this constant not knowing.
Traditionally, counties like Presidio have been shut out of programs like Economically Distressed Areas Program, the state revolving funds, because we don't have the expertise, we don't have the knowledge to navigate that labyrinth of bureaucracy and applications. And so many times, communities like ours that are the most in need, we're unable to be served.
We just thought, you know, maybe this is the time for us to come together as a community and start talking about a more permanent water source.
All the communities throughout the county are coming together to figure out how to address some of the water infrastructure challenges that they face. So we've been working with the steering committee that has been formed here to help them identify sources of funding that they can bring to actually address some of these needs.
Putting together that 38-member steering committee is incredibly unique in addressing equity. And what do I mean by that? Because they're listening to each other. From the smallest community and their needs to the biggest community and their needs, everybody's considering each other in their water planning. And I think that's a huge part of bringing equity, because everybody feels heard and everybody's projects are as important as everybody else's projects.
Yo acudí a una junta en el city y supe que iban a pedir ese dinero, que iban a pedir dinero. Pues me da mucho gusto porque así ya puedo realizar mis sueños.
As we're building infrastructure for these communities who have never had water, or we're improving infrastructure for communities whose water sources are unreliable, we need to be looking at where that water's coming from and make sure that we have enough to meet all of those needs.
Aquifers are infrastructure in Texas, just like water supply infrastructure or water treatment plants. We need to invest dollars in understanding aquifers and understanding how to manage the groundwater that is often the sole source of water for rural communities.
We are the driest part of Texas. We have the longest, driest spells. We have the highest temperatures in the summer, and we're a desert. And so if we're able to pioneer some interesting watershed restoration approaches, or if we're able to pioneer different ways of enhancing and managing our aquifer recharge, if we're able to inspire communities to conserve more, any number of green infrastructure approaches, I think then those successes can readily be transferred to other parts of the state that are much wetter than ours, but will become successively drier with climate uncertainty.
Presidio County is a model for what other counties in Texas and even across the West can do for how communities can come together and work collaboratively to address their water challenges in a holistic way.
West Texas is a place of hope and a place of promise, but we need funding and we need the resources to fulfill that promise.
I'm optimistic because I've been on the meetings and I'm like the water program is going to be approved. So if we get it approved, I bet you these houses that are empty there's gonna be people living again here in Presidio and on the La Colonia, Las Pampas.